What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about my most anticipated releases. This is from January to April of 2021 because I didn't want to get, too far ahead in the future, and then sometimes I don't know all of the anticipated releases coming out. So we're just going to do 4 months worth, but I am very excited for a lot of these. So let's go ahead. We have 3 to talk about for January. The first one I want to talk about is called Roommate, and this is by Serena Bowen. This is going to be published on January 12th. I'm not sure when you're seeing this video, but it's not January 12th yet. But I'm really excited for this. This is a male-male romance, and it's about like someone that I guess needs a roommate and someone else that's looking for someone to room with, if that makes sense. But I think that these guys are going to be opposites, which I'm very excited to see like what type of tension there is. I loved Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy, and so I'm really hoping that this kind of has that same like friendship feel. Like, I don't know, the couple in Him was just so amazing, so I'm really hoping that I like the couple in this book. It says, wanted, one roommate to share a 3-bedroom house, split the rent, and ideally not be the guy I can't stop thinking about, and then seeking a room to rent in town. I'm tidy, have no pets, and I will feed you homemade bread. Oh my gosh, that's me. That is so me. I am tidy and I will feed you homemade bread. Okay, the next one I'm excited about, this is Influenced by Sarah Shepard. This is actually the same author who wrote Pretty Little Liars, which I loved that series and TV show, and so I am very excited to read this book. This is about like teen influencers. I am a little worried about it being like young adult and like teen-ish, but I love when books have like a social media type of storyline to it. And so this one is about like this girl who, I think a video of hers blows up, and so she becomes really popular. She moves to LA, and then I think we're kind of like reading about what happens when she does that. So I'm very intrigued about this one. Another one by Sarah Shepard that comes out in January. It is kind of weird that she has 2 books being published, but this one is called Memory Lane, and this is like a sci-fi-ish book, whereas the last one was more like a young adult thriller. This one doesn't have very much of a synopsis. It says it's going to be published on January 13th. But it says a strained mother-daughter bond, an experiment with memory implantation, someone who doesn't want them to remember. And it says that it's perfect for fans of Inception and Recursion. And I like both of those things, so hopefully that's a good one. It is weird that it doesn't have a little bit more of a synopsis, but I'm hoping it's coming out when it says it's being published. Now moving along to our February releases. Do No Harm by Christina McDonald. I do really like Christina McDonald, and I've read her 2 books previously. I think she only had 2 before this, and I love her writing style. Her thrillers aren't like the best thrillers in the world. Like, I wouldn't say that they're super like twisty and turny, but the way that she writes her characters and the storyline is really, really good. And so it's more of like an emotional thriller, if that makes sense. This one is going to come out February 16th, and it says, Emma loves her life. She's the mother of a precocious kindergartner, married to her soulmate, a loyal and loving police detective, and has a rewarding career as a doctor at a local hospital. But everything comes crashing down when her son Josh is diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. So it is very interesting that this one is a mother and son type of story, because the first 2 books that Christina McDonald wrote were both mother-daughter relationships. So I'm actually excited to see if this is going to be a little bit different, so that'll be great. I'm excited. Next up, we have Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. I think this one's coming out February 9th, and this is like a sci-fi dystopian novel. Okay, young adult, sci-fi, and fantasy, it says. Let's hope I like it. It says, all it takes is one hit on the football field and suddenly Ash's life doesn't look quite the way he remembers it. Impossible though it seems, he's been hit into another dimension and keeps on bouncing through worlds that are almost but not really his own. That sounds really good, because you guys know I love like alternate reality and time traveling and stuff like that. I just hope that it's done really well, especially with it being young adult. Usually they're just not, like, they don't have as much oomph and impact as an adult novel, which is why I usually don't rate them as high. So I'm hoping that I like this one. Okay, next up is The Echo Wife. This is by Sarah Gailey. I've never read a book by her, so this is going to be my first book by this author. This comes out February 16th. It says, Martine is a genetically cloned replica made from Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning research. She's patient and gentle and obedient. She's everything Evelyn swore she'd never be, and she's having an affair with Evelyn's husband. Ooh, okay. So this is a sci-fi thriller, like kind of domestic thriller, and those are typically like the books that I love. Obviously I love domestic thrillers, and I love books that have a little bit of sci-fi in them, so it seems like I have a lot of sci-fi books on my list for this beginning part of the year, but really hoping that this is great. I don't know anything about this author, so I'm kind of going in it pretty blind. Okay, this next book a lot of people have told me about, and a lot of people are recommending it to me because of it kind of being cult-based. This is The Project by Courtney Summers. Now, I did try and read Sadie a couple of years ago when it was very popular, and I could not get into that book. I am a little worried about this, with this one being a young adult book, like whether it's gonna be, again, like dark enough, deep enough, but this one is, I think, about a cult. It comes out February 2nd, and it says that Lo is used to being on her own. After her parents died, Lo's sister B joined the Unity Project, leaving Lo in the care of their great aunt. Thanks to its extensive charitable work and community outreach, the Unity Project has won the hearts and minds of most in the upstate New York region, but Lo knows there's more to the group than meets the eye. She spent the last 6 years of her life trying and failing to prove it. So it looks like her sister, I guess, is kind of part of this cult, and her sister might know that it's part of a cult, but really excited to see. I mean, obviously there's more to the synopsis, and it even says everything she thought she knew about her sister, herself, cults, and the world around her. So it literally has cult in the synopsis, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. Okay, now moving on to March, we have Every Last Fear by Alex Finley. This is actually a book I have the copy for. I got sent an art copy by Minotaur Books, so thank you so much for sending me that. I am excited to read it ahead of time, and I think I might buddy read it with Gwen. But I've seen it on everybody's list, and so I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but it seems like a lot of people are really excited for this book. The cover of it like kind of reminds me of Peter Swanson books for some reason, and this book is going to be released March 2nd. So this is a mystery thriller with some crime. It says, in one of the year's most anticipated debut psychological thrillers, a family made infamous by a true crime documentary is found dead, leaving their surviving son to uncover the truth about their final days. I guess I just didn't read the synopsis when I had this book before, because I did not realize that's what it was about, and I'm sold. I cannot wait to read that. That's gonna be great. Okay, the next book I'm gonna talk about is a horror book, and this one I actually think I saw on Jessie's video from Reading with Jess. I was watching her anticipated reads, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this. Or maybe did I see it on McKay's channel? McKay is also really great at knowing like what books are coming up, and we all have the same tastes, so I might have gotten it from him too. But this is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten, and this is a horror book that it says the Blair Witch Project meets Midsummer, which if you haven't seen that movie, crazy. And it says it's a disturbing thriller from Camilla Sten, an electrifying new voice in suspense, which I have not read anything by this author before. It is horror, thriller, I think it says kind of a little bit of crime. It says documentary filmmaker Alice has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of the old mining town dubbed the Lost Village since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in this mysterious tragedy, and ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened. Ooh, that sounds good. It sounds a little like ghosty and a little horror. I like that. Okay, now moving on to April. This is the last month of anticipated reads that I have like written down and planned for. So we have The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon. This I actually do have on NetGalley. I did not get a chance to read it before the end of 2020, but I'm hopefully using it to be able to like read that arc before it comes out. I have read one other book by Jennifer McMahon. I read The Invited, and I actually really liked it. It was like horror, a little ghosty. I don't know, I just really was a big fan of it. This one also says it's horror and thriller, so I'm hoping it has the same kind of feel as The Invited. It says, be careful what you wish for. When social worker Jax receives 9 missed calls from her older sister Lexi, she assumes that it's just another one of her sister's episodes. Manic and increasingly out of touch with reality, Lexi has pushed Jax away for over a year. But the next day, Lexi is dead, drowned in the pool at their grandmother's estate. It also shows, it says in 1929, 37-year-old newlywed Ethel hopes desperately for a baby. So it looks like there's going to be like 2 different storylines going on, which I think Jennifer McMahon does in like her Winter People book, which I haven't read yet, but I'm really excited and I hope that the storylines go together. I am a little worried sometimes when it's flips back and forth too much and I can't get into one storyline. So 2 years ago, one of my favorite books was Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson, and I was hoping that she was gonna write another thriller book, and she is. So she has a book called Mother May I coming out April 6th, and this is going to be a thriller because she does sometimes write like historical fiction, I think, and I am really excited. So this, I think, is a revenge story, which I do love. It has a huge synopsis. Okay, so it looks like it's about this lady Bree who has like wealth, power, connections, all of this stuff, and she thinks that she sees this witch peering into her bedroom window, and then she like sees that old lady again, and then her like infant son is stolen. And so I'm not sure what happens after that because the synopsis is so large, but I guess it's gonna be a stolen infant, which I usually like those types of books. Okay, last but not least, we have The Perfect Daughter by DJ Palmer. And I actually have not read anything by DJ Palmer before, but I do have the book that came out, I think it was called The New Husband. I actually still have that. So this says, The Perfect Daughter is a thriller that explores the truth or lies behind a teenage girl's multiple personality disorder, which sounds so intriguing. So it says thriller, and it's also under psychology and mental health on Goodreads. This comes out April 20th, and I am so excited. It says, Grace never dreamt she'd visit her teenage daughter Penny in the locked ward of a decaying state psychiatric hospital, charged with the murder of a stranger. There is not much question of her daughter's guilt. Police had her fingerprints on the murder weapon and the victim's blood on her body and clothes, but they didn't have a motive. And it says about how like the mom blames herself and stuff. So I think that this is going to be a really deep thriller with like a mother-daughter relationship and just like, yeah, like what it's like to have a child that would like murder somebody. I don't know. I'm very excited, very intrigued for that. So I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. Okay, those are all of the books that I am most anticipating from January all the way to April. And they all sound actually really good. I feel like over the last few years, like I would have some that I liked and then some that I was only like kind of intrigued by. But I feel like this list, I'm intrigued by all of these, and this is only for the first 4 months. So I'm really hoping that 2021 is just packed full of amazing books. I want to hear what books you guys are anticipating, especially if they're different than the ones that I had on my list. So make sure you drop a comment down below letting me know a book that you're most anticipating for the first 4 months of 2021. But that's it. I will see you guys very soon in another video. Bye everyone.